What is your most awkward public bathroom experience? Here's mine. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I ask because this odd experience occurred to me not 36 hours ago after leaving the gym at the public bathroom at a Toronto subway station. A man who must have been about 55-60 with a big white Santa beard and looking not quite homeless but clearly not very fat in the pockets had just entered the washroom moments before me and was standing in front of the sink looking at himself in the mirror. Now for some geography. In this washroom, there are 2 urinals and a single, handicap accessible stall. The stall is almost always covered in shit and piss, from wall to floor, with some stuck on the ceiling, so no one ever uses it. It is located in between the 2 urinals, which creates an excessively large buffer between 2 simultaneous pisses. The sink is located on the opposing wall to all 3 of these disposal areas, as is the door in, which is right in front of the left urinal. Anyhow, I enter and head for the urinal directly in front of me, which is the far left one as mentioned above. I unzip and do my business, and don't hear a peep from the dude behind me, who should by all accounts still be standing front of the mirror. After I finish my job, I whip around only to find him gone. What the frick happened to Hobo Santa? I thought, as I sauntered toward the sink to wash the dong off my hands. Wouldn't you know it, as I leaned forward to utilize the soap, there staring at me in the mirror was Ninja Hobo Santa, beat red and obviously in a lot of pain. What was he doing? Well, let's rewind to the geography portion of our lesson. If he's staring at me in the mirror, he must be on an angle and behind me from my current position. Since I was the one occupying the left urinal, and the toilet obviously has a door on it he would presumably close. He could only have been in the right urinal over my left shoulder. The question is, why? How on earth is he freaking facing me? I quickly scanned downward and answered my own question. For starters, his pants were around his ankles, as I would later deduce. Secondly, he was seated on the lip on the urinal with his ass inside it. Thirdly, the room suddenly smelled like craft dinner after a night's worth of digestion by a bunch of tapeworms. Yes folks, he was straight up, unabashedly shitting in the urinal, and I was paralyzed with disgust and intrigue all at once. Then time began to slow as the event unfolded, one unforgiving cron at a time. For starters, there I was hunched over the sink with running water and soapy hands, and I just could not stop staring at him. And you know what's worse? He couldn't stop staring at me, either. It was an old-fashioned Mexican standoff. Was he going to have the balls to wipe up and finish? Or was I going to flinch first and casually saunter out of the room, pretending like I didn't just witness a Christmas miracle in May? Obviously, this wasn't going away on its own, since neither of us was interested in pretending this wasn't happening. It was then I decided I had to say something. But what? If I'm going to just stand here and stare like an idiot, I had better give the whole thing meaning, or else everyone loses. And I wanted to win. But suddenly, I found myself completely disarmed. Ninja Hobo Santa had launched a preemptive assault on my brain in the form of a few simple words, and they would soon ruin my entire battle plan. I'm claustrophobic as he gestures toward a stall. Are you kidding me, Santa? You'll live in a one-room house full of elves who take turns banging your fat whore wife, and you're claustrophobic? Furthermore, it's a huge bathroom stall built for handicapped people to move around in, and it barely qualifies as a cubicle, let alone a small room. But as so many emotions were whipping through me at the time, I just let him win. So anyhow, in the moment of amazement I had pondering his comment, he managed to shimmy forward a bit and started to wipe his ass, obviously in a hurry to pinch off and get out of there. I could barely stand the smell at this point, which today I learned is surprisingly more intense given the lack of water present for the poo to rest in. Suddenly, wild logic appeared. Where is the paper? Although I wasn't exactly peeping behind him to make sure he was employing proper rear wiping accessories with appropriate softness for ass, I could not fathom where he could have been hiding it while he was staring at me. Then I noticed him stop wiping altogether and begin to elevate from the urinal. What the frick? Why is his hand not poop covered? More on that later. Onward we go. as I'm still staring in awe at what I'm seeing, now with my mouth and nose covered by my fully washed hand. As he stands up, I find myself thanking the people at Walmart for making extra long hoodies, just able to cover droopy old man balls, but cursing the people at Calvin Klein for not making scented face masks fashionable and popular among men aged 18-49. Then of course, as he pulls up his baggy jeans, I got my first glimpse at the mess he left behind. At this point, 2 burning questions would be answered in one swift, foul blow. For starters, let's address the wiping issue. How do this clever ninja sneak TP in without me seeing? The answer is, he didn't. He must have come prepared, with a hanky in his back pocket, because that's exactly what he used to clean up. How do I know this? He left it resting on top of Old Smoky, a.k.a. the big heap of hobo shit now resting in the urinal. Secondly, would he escape from this ordeal unscathed? How skilled was this ninja, and would it be possible not to have your ass covered in shit? Well, as one would expect, my first clue came from the urinal lip, which was clean, suggesting he did not end up as messy as one could imagine he might. The pile was also not as tall as it could have been, and the urinal mouth was fairly deep, so there was little chance for accidental smearage from him getting a bit too comfortable. Then I thought to check his pants as he walked away from further clues, as I had now decided to become some sort of shit sleuth. As he began to walk away, I stared at his ass, looking for any signs of overflow, like a warm chocolate bar accidentally stepped on that pops open the end of the wrapper and oozes out all over everything. Again, I came up short, and it was looking like the Ninja Santa had pulled it off. Then, and I don't know why I expected he wouldn't, he caught me eyeing his ass. He turned around in the most dignified fashion you could fathom given that he just took a urinal dump, and looked upset that I was so intrusive. With an even more dignified tone, he said, "Sorry man, I had to go," which I initially misheard as "sorry man, I have to go," and quickly stumbled to reply with "I understand, go home and shower dude." But no, I did not understand. I will never understand. How the frick is someone so afraid of being in a closed space that they refuse to shit in a stall? And moreover, was that even the real reason? I mean, with your pants around your ankles sitting in a urinal, the average person is going to be prepared to lie, because who's going to stick around and question you? Obviously not me. I just like looking at old men poop. Back when I was 15 or 16, my mum and I went into a mall restroom together. I am female, just in case that wasn't clear. I finished first, but we're chatting and over our voices she apparently doesn't realize that I'm no longer in the stall next to her. I've Kate and another woman, who we don't know, goes into the same stall. Now, if you've ever been in a co-ed or women's public restroom stall, you know there's a small trash can attached to one of the walls of the stall in which to put tampon applicators and other sorts of feminine hygiene product waste. In this particular instance, the trash can was missing between the stall I was in and the stall my mother occupied. Now, recall that mum still thinks I am in the stall next to her. She suddenly realizes that the trash bin is missing and that, as a result, there is a 4x 6-inch rectangular hole in the wall between the two stalls. My dear mother then proceeds, while still using the toilet, to poke her fingers through the hole saying, "I see you," in a giggly voice, to what I am sure is a horrified stranger. I am both horrified and trying not to laugh hysterically. I say, as calmly as I can, "Mom, stop." She still thinks I'm in the stall she's currently peeking in. The angle didn't allow for her to see much of the woman, and responds, "But it's funny." My mum then finishes her business and comes out of the stall, coming face to face with me. At which point she realizes what she's done and in an entirely embarrassed manner grabs my arm, yells, "Oh my god, I am so sorry," and hustles me out of the bathroom without even bothering to wash her hands. I refuse to let her live it down even 10 years later. I had the same experience during 3rd grade. Me and my best friend went to the bathroom to hang out since we had sub-teacher and she was boring as hell. So I took a stall and he took a stall. Well, that's what I thought. And I see his shoe sticking out from underneath the stall and thought should piss on it. I pissed on his shoe and I began laughing hysterically and he begins to laugh too. He started pissing under my stall while we were laughing our asses off. We both come out and it turns out it wasn't my friend, but a random kid. It was at a rest stop during night time. Nothing seemed wrong on the outside. It wasn't trashy or anything. But when I walked into the ladies' bathroom there was so much blood. I am not talking like a little smear of period blood on a toilet seat or anything. I mean there was blood everywhere. One of the sinks was full of it. It was all over the counters, walls, and floors. Smelled nasty as all hell. The lights on the ceiling were flickering and I looked up and one was smashed out and the other was going on and off. There was even blood there. I got out of there really fast. Did you at least call the cops? Look for the serial killer. Protect your womanhood from the rapist that did this? I would have flipped a shit if I walked into a bathroom and there's blood everywhere. I would have been like, not a Serbian film again, no. I was in the locker room. Locker room was also the bathroom, taking a shower. Being new in the military, I was still getting used to being surrounded by naked men in large shower rooms. Well, I lost control of the soap and panicked, and started juggling it while trying to catch it. I lunged out and tried grabbing it, and wound up literally swatting it across the shower room. It smacked the biggest guy there right between the butt cheeks. There was a loud what the frick followed by 24 large soldiers turning and looking right at me. I tried playing it off with tag, "You're it," but nobody got the joke. That day I learned that shower gel is awesome. Met my boyfriend for lunch in his office building, but I had to pee before we left. Normally the bathrooms require an employee key to enter, but because the building was being worked on, the doors were all propped open. A bunch of guys were painting one of the adjacent offices, and as I walked by they started doing the catcall stuff. I ignored it and continued walking to the bathroom. One of the guys starts following me down the hall, and actually walks into the bathroom behind me. I run into the stall and start calling my boyfriend to come get me when through the door crack I see the guy lift his leg, fart on my door, and walk out. LOL what?